Hello. So today I'm going to go over the live lesson from March 23rd. And so this is for if you missed the lesson or if you want to hear it again. So the lesson today was you will be able to divide quantities and represent the results in multiple ways. So we started with 16 pieces of licorice shared between 8 friends. And the idea on this was to actually draw a model to show it. So we're going to do 16 pieces of licorice, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 16. And we want to share it between 8 people. So there are lots of ways that you guys did this. Some of you said, well, I'm going to give this to person one. I'm going to give this to person two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. I'm going to give this to person one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. And so person one got 2 licorice, person two got 2 licorice, person three. So everyone gets 2 licorice. What's the plural of licorice? I used to joke about how it was called licori, but I guess that would be one, and then licorice would be more than one. I don't know. Anyway, licorice sticks. Licorices, I don't know. Okay, so in this case, everyone would get 2. Some of you recognized it as it's just simply 16 divided by 2, sorry, divided by 8 equals 2. Okay, but what happens if we find 2 more pieces of licorice? So if we find 2 more pieces of licorice and we want to make sure we use all the licorice for the 8 people, what we can do is we can take those 2 pieces of licorice and we can actually divide them into 8 pieces each. So I'm going to double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. So person one would get this piece and this piece. Person two would get those pieces. So everyone would get their 2 whole pieces, and they would get 2 of the 8 1/8 pieces. So they would get 2 of the 1/8 pieces. Now, you could also have thought, well, I've got 2 pieces extra. So this is another way of thinking about it. 2 pieces extra. So I need to make sure I have 8 total pieces. So I'm actually going to just cut these into fourths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. So that would be the same as saying 2 and 1/4. And if we were to simplify 2/8, we can divide both by 2, so that would be 1/4. So that's just another way to do it, is to simplify it. Okay, so then after that, um, we moved to a class kick. And I'm going to go ahead and move to that class kick on this also. And we talked about how to solve this problem. You have been given a very important job sharing pieces of licorice equally among your friends. How would you share 5 pieces of licorice equally among 3 friends? Now, I went through your guys' class kicks and I want to share some of the class kicks that you guys did. So, and these are all correct, and they are all ways to show how to divide 3 pieces of licorice um, into 5 pieces, or 5 among 5 friends. So this is Lucas with a C, and what he did is he drew a model and he drew 5 pieces of licorice, and he said, well, 1 whole piece goes to 1 friend, 2 friend, 3 friends. Then he took those last 2 pieces, and here's one of them. I'm going to draw on it. Here's one of the pieces, and he cut it into 3 equal pieces. So there's 1 part of it, 2 parts of it, and 3 parts of it. And he did that to the other piece too. 1 part, 2 parts, 3 parts. And so person one got 2 of the little parts of the 2 of the 1/3 parts, and person two got 2 of the 1/3 parts, and person three got 2 of the 1/3 parts. So um, the words that he used was take 3 out and give each friend 1 licorice of the 3. Then divide the 2 remaining ones into thirds and give everyone 2/3. Okay, so that was one way to show it. Ebony shared her screen with us in class, and this is what Ebony's looked like. She did a kind of similar, but she showed it very differently. So she gave everybody 1, 2 left over, so she cut them into thirds, and each person would get 1 and 2 of the little third pieces. Right? Also correct. Clementine showed it this way. I thought this was fun because it looked like they were happy to receive them. So she took the 9 pieces and she gave everybody 1. Then she split the pieces, the 2 remaining pieces, into thirds and realized that everybody would get 2/3. All right. Next one I want to show you is Kalia. I'm going to show you lots of different ways that people represented this. Kalia also shared in class, so did Clementine. So Kalia did all 5 pieces and then split them all into thirds and basically said all of these go to friend 1. So they get 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3. And then did the same for person 2 and person 3. So everybody got 5/3. So that's an improper fraction. So 5/3. When we do this, it becomes 3 divided into 5, or 5 divided by 3, which becomes 1. Take away 3, 2, and we have 2/3 left over. So everybody has 1 and 2/3 pieces of licorice. So I thought that was clever of Kalia to draw it that way. This method is going to sometimes be more efficient than the other methods. I'll show Angela's. All right, so Angela did something kind of similar. Divided all of them into thirds. I split it up fairly because I split it up into 15 pieces, 15 1/3 pieces, by cutting them into 3 pieces each and equally put them into a circle. Each circle has 5 pieces, or 1 and 2/3 full pieces of licorice. I thought that was a nice way of representing it also. I want to go to Leanna. All right, so Leanna said basically this piece goes to person 1, person 2, person 3 has 2 pieces left over, and so person 1 gets 2 1/3 pieces, person 2 gets 1/3 pieces, and person 3 gets 1/3 pieces. Very clever way of showing it. Sophia. All right, so again, 1, 2, 3 full pieces, 1, 2, 3 full pieces to each person, and then cut the remaining pieces into thirds, and 1 piece, 2 pieces goes to 1, 1 piece, 2 pieces goes to another, so on and so forth. Nice job, Sophia and Brandon. I'm going to share Brandon's. So Brandon showed his like this. So there were 5 pieces of licorice. Here's one here. It's kind of, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. And he crossed them off as he gave them away. So he crossed off 3 of them because that's 1 full piece. And then he took the remaining 2 and he showed exactly where those pieces went. So this piece went to person 1, and this piece here went to person 1, and this piece went to person 1. This piece went to person 2, person 2, person 3, person 3. And so they each got 1 and 2/3. All right. So those are the examples that I'm going to show for the first slide. The second slide, it's sharing 9 pieces among 5 friends. Include a picture, a division sentence, and words. I didn't pay much attention to whether or not the people included all of those in their in the examples that I chose. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people that I wanted to share. So I'm going to start with Lily. All right, so Lily has 9 pieces of licorice. Everybody got one, and then she cut the remaining into 5 equal pieces. And so person one is yellow. I like the color coding, Lily. Is yellow, so they got 4 out of the 1/5 pieces, and so on and so forth. So very clear again. I'm going to go to Olivia. Now, Olivia was still working on hers. So what she was doing is she was able to give everybody kind of partial quotient. She was kind of doing partial quotient, which I thought was really cool. So she knew she could get everybody one, and then she knew she could give everybody a half, but that only came to 7.5 pieces. So she still has 1.5 pieces to deal with. And now she is on the hunt of figuring out how to give everybody equally some of that 1.5. This is just like partial quotient, like the giant 7, when we do giant 7 for division. So I thought that was really clever, Olivia, that you were going in that route. So I wanted to honor that for you. We're going to go to Aiden. Okay, Aiden gave the people letters. So there's person A, B, C, D, and E. And he cut all of them into 5 pieces. And so A gets 1, 2, 3, 4. You're missing one there, but you came up with 1 4/5. But we need one more piece of licorice. We actually need 9 pieces of licorice. So we're missing a couple of licorice here. Oh no, you have them up here. So I see everybody got 1 piece of licorice. Sorry, Aiden, it took me a second. Everybody got 1 piece of licorice. There's the 9. There's 5. So everybody got 1, and then we split the remaining 4 pieces into 5 equal pieces because there are 5 people, and then everybody got 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5. So 1 4/5. I knew I put it in there for a reason, Aiden. Very clever. Okay, Nico. All right, Nico did more words. We can find how many pieces we can share equally by dividing. 9 licorice divided by 5 friends equals 1.88. I'm interested to find out how you figured that out, like your work on that. In the 10th is equal to 8/10, so we can divide it by 2 and get 4/5. So we can add the whole 1 and get 1 4/5. We can check this work. I loved this part, that you checked the work and you basically said 1 4/5 times 5 should equal 9. And it did when he worked it out. And it should. All right, Niketh. So Niketh had, everybody got 1 full piece of licorice. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then he took the remaining 4 and he divided them into fifths. And this person got 1, 2, 3, 4 1/5. So 4 1/5 pieces, and which comes to 4/5, right? And 4/5, 4/5, 4/5, 4/5. So 1 and 4 1/5 pieces. Now the next two I thought were really interesting because they came across a kind of a shortcut that I didn't go over at all. Sumaya showed part of the shortcut, so I wanted to go over this right here. She figured that it was a ratio. There are 5 people and 9 pieces of licorice. Every fraction or ratio is actually a division problem, so she used it as a division problem. And she came up with 1 remainder 4. And when we do a remainder in fraction form, it would be 1 with a remainder of 4 over 5 pieces. So that's kind of a shortcut way to figure it out. And the last one I wanted to share was Gavin. Where are you, Gavin? There you are. Okay. So Gavin decided to change it into a decimal. I thought that was interesting, changing it into a decimal. So again, the division method. So 5 goes into 9 how many times? We're going to take 9 licorice and divide it into 5 equal pieces. So it becomes 1. We have 4 left over. Bring it down, make it into a decimal. So it became 1.8. 1 and 8/10. So that kind of goes along with, I think it was Nico as well, who came up with the 1.8. Yep, 1.8. Oh, 8 in the 10th place. It's not 1.88. It's 1.88 in the 10th place is equal to 8/10. Yeah. So anyway, those were just some very different ways of showing those same problems. And that was the live lesson today.